Hello. It's not often I get to talk on a mic on a stage. It's kind of fun. My name is Kelly Greenlee. I am the Community Outreach Librarian at Prince Memorial Library. And though you are here at this gorgeous auditorium, this is a library event. This is one of the ways that we can expand into the community is to use venues, beautiful venues like this. So we are so grateful to the high school, particularly Kevin Rollins, who's somewhere up there, who is our connection to this facility, and Ethan, who's helping us out. He's a student who's helping us out on sound. So thank you for all of the help that we've had to put this together. I just want to put a plug out there to get your library card. So how many of you have a library card? Ooh, yay, I love that. I can sort of see you. I saw arms go up. If you don't have a library card, stop by the library sometime, or you can get a library card on our website, and we encourage you to do that because it's a great way to stay connected with the library. So, without further ado, I will introduce our performer this evening. I have this piece of paper that has all of his information, so I'm gonna read it. So bear with me. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, good. Russell, I didn't ask how you say your last name. Kaback?
Kaback, yeah.
Kaback, okay. Russell Kaback is a musician and educator based in South Portland, Maine. He teaches K-12 classrooms. I heard the word middle school. He's a middle school. He's done middle school before. That's like takes a special person. Let's see, and he writes, produces, and performs original music. He received the 2016 Joel and Linda Abramson Award and the 2018 Maine Arts Commission Project Grant in support of bringing his musical story, based on his grandfather's experience during the Holocaust, into schools in Maine. This work has been performed in venues in Maine and Massachusetts since 2014, at the Port Fringe Festival in Portland, and in his grandfather's hometown of Będzin, Poland in 2018. In 2022, he began collaboration with master storyteller and local Maine storyteller Antonio Roja to create the one-man musical storytelling version of the show titled 25044. That's what you're seeing tonight. The performance debuted in Turner, Maine in March 2023. Russell Kaback.
So much. Seems like the mic is working, coming through. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you for having me. Thank you all for being here. This is really, I'm truly touched and honored. And what an amazing space. Thank you for having me. I've been, as Kelly mentioned, performing this piece for a few years. I'm currently performing it in schools right now, in these months, February, March, April, and May, presented by Portland Ovations. I've done about 4 school shows. I have some coming up in Brunswick on Monday, and King Middle School in Portland, and in Ellsworth. So let's get this guitar going. Again, my name is Russell Kaback. Oh, let me lose the vocal there. Good. Check, check. My name is Russell Kaback, and the title of this story is 25044, and it's based on the life of my grandfather, Szyjek Magier, and it begins in Będzin, a small city in the southwest of Poland. In the region of Silesia, the coal mining district of Zagłębia. At the bend in the river symbol of Benjen, the castle of Benjen, built in 1348 by King Kazimierz the Great, friend of the Jewish people. Szyjek's father, Yosef, fought in World War I, winning independence for the new modern nation of Poland. There he is in 1918, returning to Benjen to reunite with his beloved Zelda. This uniform I wore, this long and bloody war, what did I do it for? For you, for you, for you. And there's Zelda, who worked as a domestic servant, awaiting the return of her beloved Yosef. To you, my heart, I swore, each day I wiped the floor, to see your face once more. It's you, I did it all for you. And they began their life together, to have a dream and see it through. I do all for you. And they soon had 4 boys, one after the other. The oldest was Motek. He was tough like his father, in charge of his 3 younger brothers. The second son was Moniak. He was gentle, looked just like his mom, especially when he smiled, the peacemaker of the family. The third brother, they named Abba, the rebel. He didn't listen as much to what the old folks said. And the fourth son, my grandfather, the hero of our story, they named Yehoshua, like the name Joshua. In Polish, they called him Shia. And to those of us who knew him well, he was Szyjek. Szyjek was clever, loyal, and always active. Oh, Szyjek, you're splashing me. It's too much water. I can't breathe. It was a hot day in late August, 1939. Szyjek was about to start high school. The whole town of Benjen was out by the bend in the river. The old folks were cooling their toes off in it, while the little babies were being dipped into it. The rich sat beneath parasols and picnicked beside it, while the poor wrung their clothes out in it. The wise ones made blessings of gratitude over it, and the fools did backflips off the bridge into it. Hey, Szyjek, I bet you can't jump from up here. That's Abo, Szyjek's next older brother, the one I told you about, the rebel. The 2 of them were like the 2 tablets of the 10 Commandments. You'd never find one without the other. Oh yeah, Abo, watch me. Cannonballs, splash you in the water, dunk you under, see who can hold their breath the longest. We had a ball of rags and we threw it over the crowd. We played all day. Abo, time to go. Not yet, Szyjek. Abo, come on. Mom wants us home for supper. We'll go soon. Abo, now. Fine. Abo and I walked home through the archway into the courtyard behind our building. Our hair was still wet. I looked up into the back window, and suddenly I saw my mother and father with such a serious expression on their faces. An expression I had never seen before. Szyjek, Abo, supper! All 6 of us sat around eating Mom's delicious soup and bread. When our father was done, he put down his spoon. Boys, we need to go stay at your grandfather's house in Pinchik for a few days. Without asking any questions, we got into packing mode. Beans and barley we grabbed from the shelves. Bread and butter we wrapped in towels. We pumped water into jugs from the well in the courtyard. We grabbed candles, blankets, and clothes. The next morning, people were moving in every direction in the street. Our father had somehow arranged for us to have a wagon. We loaded all the things onto it, And we helped our mother, and she sat on top like a queen. Each of the 4 boys took a corner, our father in the front, between the 2 poles. And we began the journey, 2 days walking to the village of Pinchif, where Grandpa lived. People escaping Benjamin in every direction they could. Silence. Each of us in our own thoughts. My father in the front. They think they can mess with the Polish army. Didn't they learn their lesson last time? Motek, the oldest brother. Oh, this is bad. My brothers have no idea. My mom sitting on top. Daddy, we're coming. We'll be together soon. Moniek spoke. Mom, you okay up there? Yes, son, I'm fine, thank you. You always take such good care of me. Abo. Oh, this is big. I think it's going to be a war. Me? Szyjek? The youngest? I was just looking forward to being with Grandpa. Whatever it was that was happening, he would know what to do. I always loved his bedtime stories. Stories of the old times. And the way he made us say our blessings every morning when we woke up. Boys, the way you make your bed each day is the way you lay your head each day. So make it with great care, for the secret is hidden there. And this body that we're given, this house for the soul to live in. If one door closes when it should be open, or if one should open when it should be closed. And he made us wear every day a special shirt with fringes on the edges called tzitzit. He said it was there to remind us, because we would forget, that the world was created not by us, and it was left a little unfinished at the edges. And it was our job to try to make the world complete by doing good things we didn't always want to do, but we should. And this garment richly woven, like the weaving together of all of creation, the open-ended fringes, the unfinished works of humanity here on earth. If you wear this, no bad things can happen to you. This will protect you for life. A motorcycle and sidecar raced up from behind and sped ahead into the distance. Boys, pull faster, I can't do this on my own. Yeah, push the wagon over, help your mother down. Ah, people were hit nearby. Airplanes. Underneath their wings, black crosses. Everyone go back to where you came from. A voice over the loudspeaker. This is what it meant to be in trouble. We left the wagon in the road. Well, we never made it to Grandpa's. As we approached Benjamin from a distance, I saw a huge cloud of gray smoke rising into the sky. A checkpoint on the edge of town. Name, date of birth, Szyjek Magier. 18 September, 1881. Curfew, 7 p.m. A long procession of cars, trucks, and motorcycles circled all through the main streets of Benjamin. You could still see the dust on their goggles. They took the commander straight to City Hall, and they hung huge red banners. In my neighborhood, there were fires burning in the street. It seemed to me like all hell had broken loose. The Polish army was in disarray. They just took off their uniforms and gave up. Did you hear? They arrested all of the prominent members of the Jewish community, all of the important and influential people. It was like they knew where everyone was. They're locked in the basement of City Hall. It was unbelievable. Well, people believed what they wanted to believe. Right away, there were new rules. You could only walk down the right side of the street. Some people had radios. Did you hear? France and England have declared war on Germany. People either hoped for the best or they feared the worst. After 24 hours locked in the basement of City Hall, those prominent members of the Jewish community, without any food or water, they demanded that one of them step forward to be the head of their Jewish council. Nobody wanted to do it. Who would? To work for the Gestapo? The Gestapo was in charge. They did whatever they wanted. You couldn't say anything against them, or you would be beaten, arrested, and fined. Did you hear? He got picked up in the street and sent to a camp. New rule. All radios had to be turned over to the authorities. My parents' small dairy store was no longer receiving any shipments. All we could do was sell everything we had. People were lined up in the streets. After 48 hours locked in the basement of City Hall with no food or water, finally, of all people, Marin stepped forward. Marin. The first thing they did was they beat him to the ground so hard he could barely get up. Now he works for them, tells us what to do, all to save his own skin. This was their method. They turned us against one another, made us accomplices in their own crimes against us. And it worked. Marin and the head of the Gestapo posted a notice. To all the Jews, you are required to register with the Jewish Council, otherwise you will be denied ration cards and you will be prosecuted. Oh, what choice did we have? Now they had all of our names on a list. Marin was ordered to hold a meeting of those prominent members of the community. When none of them showed up, he made a speech. I'm going to die because of you. You have one last chance. Show up 12 noon tomorrow. And if you don't come looking to me for help. Germany and Russia sliced up Poland. Did you hear? They tried to escape to the Russian zone, but they got pushed off the high bridge at Slavkov, and they drowned in the river. When those members of the Jewish community finally showed up at 12 noon the next day, Marin addressed the crowd. We're required to turn over 5 kilograms of gold. That's $250,000 in today's money. We have no choice but to save ourselves from this fire burning around us. Be thankful we still have our gold with which to save our lives. He took the ring off his finger, put it on the table, and he walked out. New rule, Jews are no longer allowed to own businesses. My parents' small dairy store was taken over by a German manager. Did you hear? In Pinchif, where Grandpa lives, they rounded up all the Jews into the synagogue, and they set it on fire. My mother went into shock. Grandpa's dead. Well, we never made it to Pinchif. It didn't seem possible, but I soon saw it was possible. School never started for us. Kids, we were out in the street. Whoa, 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 whoa. I heard a commotion. I knew my parents wouldn't want me to, but I had to look, and I saw with my own eyes the great synagogue of Benjamin, the one with the beautiful paintings on the ceiling of the 12 tribes of Israel, on fire. People screaming, glass breaking, jumping out of windows. Men in gray uniforms, red armbands, gray caps with a skull. The SS shooting people as they ran. The priest in the church next door tried to give people shelter if he could. An old man came from the crowd, looked me in the eye. You have to get out of here now. Grandpa. It seemed to me like it was my grandfather speaking to me through this old man. I ran home with tears in my eyes to tell my mother and father what I saw. That very night, while I was sleeping, my brother Abba woke me up to tell me he was running away with his friends to the Russian zone. Wake up, Szyjek, don't with the coming snow. Abba was willing to do whatever it took to stand up for our family. He was ready to die for it, even if it meant running away from home and breaking our mother's heart. Like giving up against a giant, we stand together forever in defiance. We are the young and the brave. Yeah! Never say that we won't give up the road. Remember Moses set the people free, surrounded on all sides like Judah. To everyone with courage to take a stand, we extend our welcome here. We got letters from time to time from Abba. He had joined the Russian army. Months passed. March 1940. It was considered a privilege that my mother and father were allowed to work in the small dairy store that they once upon a time owned. A German manager unlocked the door in the morning, and he emptied the register at the end of the day. My older brothers, they were lucky too. They each had blue papers, work permits that gave them protected status as productive Jews. My father was once considered the toughest guy in the neighborhood. Now he was just helpless. My mother, she always took care of me. Now she never stopped crying. What could I do? I was just a kid. I wanted to help them. There was a baker down the street. He trusted me. In the morning, he gave me bagels on credit. And I sold them in the market to try to get a little extra money. We were hungry. Is the mic okay? Is it working? Check. It's coming in and out? Or? It's all right? Okay. There was a baker down the street. He trusted me. In the morning, he gave me bagels on credit. And I sold them in the market. This was illegal for a Jew. I could get picked up and taken away. But this was the chance I had to take to try to earn a little extra money for our family. I stood on the market with my basket. Bagel, 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 1 penny each and 3 for 2. Poppy seed, sesame, spread a little cream cheese. Can you keep a secret? They're the best bagels in Benjamin. And I made a little money. But if I saw the police, I ran through the crowd, between the tables, around the stalls, over the wall, and I came home. And I put the money on the table for my mother and father. And this is how we had a little extra bread and butter to eat. And I never got caught. Months passed like this. November 1940. A group of German soldiers raised his glasses in a tavern. Is it okay? Is it on my end? I don't know. Is it the monitor? All right. Not sure. Okay. A group of German soldiers raised his glasses in a tavern, singing songs of their motherland. Our flag is a new flag, flying high above the open country. They got rowdier and rowdier. Our flag is a mighty flag, never seen before in all my history. By the end of the night, they could barely stand up. Their hearty songs turned to plotting of action. The young rookie among them had to be initiated into the group by taking the lifeblood of the enemy with his own hands. They staggered out into the streets of Benjamin. The next morning I woke up, like I always did, early, and I went to the baker's to get my bagels. I was alone in the street. Suddenly me, I saw an old man leaning up against the storefront. What's he doing there? I saw his hat and his beard. I recognized him. It's the old man Lazar from the neighborhood. But why is he leaning up against the wall? His eyes are closed. Well, why is he sleeping? A bullet hole. A line of blood. He's dead! The German soldiers the night before had their fun with him. Members of the community came to take his body away to give him a proper burial. An old man came from the crowd, looked me in the eye. You have to get out of here now, any way you can. It's time. After that, my mother and father didn't let me out in the street. Months passed. April 1941, I was home with my mother and father. My two older brothers, Motek and Monyak, they were working. My father opened the door. It was Marin, the head of the Jewish council. Mr. Magier, Mrs. Magier, I come with an opportunity, blue papers, a work permit for one member of your household. This means security, protection, a 10-week assignment at a nearby camp. A camp, let me see that. And if we don't go, please, Mr. Magier, if you don't go, they will take you by force. Marin left. Zelda, this is my duty. I have to go. I'll be back in 10 weeks. You stay here with the boys. I don't know, something told me this was my chance to escape. I made the first big decision of my life. Dad, I'm gonna go instead of you. You stay here with Mom. I'll be back in 10 weeks. I'll work hard. I'll do whatever they tell me to. They've never seen a worker like me. This will keep me safe. There's nothing for me here. It's too risky. I can't believe it. They agreed to my plan. The next morning I packed my little backpack. I hugged and I kissed my family goodbye. Tears streaming down at my mother's face as I hopped on the streetcar with Marin's paper in my hand towards the neighboring town of Sosnowiec to the registration place. Hundreds of people registering one by one. At the end of the day, they put us upstairs in a room to sleep before we shipped out the next day. As I walked down the hallway, I looked out the window. There was a crowd of people lined up against the fence. Mothers who had come to say one last goodbye. Mom! There was no time. I went to the room to sleep. In the morning, I walked down the hallway again. I looked out the window. It was raining now. There was still a small crowd of people. They had stayed all night. I saw my mom there. Mom, it's okay. I'll be back in 10 weeks. I got this. Go home. I promise I'll be back. I don't know if she heard me or not. They put us on a bus. Not a far drive. And we arrived through a fence with a gate and a sign that read, Anhalt. In the camp. Name, date of birth, Yehoshua Magier, 11 December, 1924. In the camp, they separated us into sections, all Jewish workers, each section in front of a barrack. The commander stepped down the line. Welcome to Anhalt. Work hard, and you will go home in 10 weeks. Now let me show you how we do things around here. He hit one of the workers at the front of the line so hard he could barely get up off the ground. But when he did, I saw he had in his hand a club. I am your capo. From now on, you answer to me. The capo was a worker, just like us. But he got special privileges for keeping us in line any way he saw fit. We slept 4 to a bunk. The capo had his own little room at the front of the barrack. That first morning, he woke us up before dawn and put us to work. Get up, you low-down, dirty bunch of swine. Get out here and be counted in a line. And if you even hesitate, you're gonna feel a beating of mine. From this point on, you are property of Hitler, an enemy, a criminal, and a prisoner. And all you need to know is that you're here to follow every order. Sometimes there was no work for us to do, but they just put us out anyway. It was like they were trying to just get us used to it. We were cleaning the streets, sweeping the ground, emptying out garbage. If somebody saw a scrap of food, he jumped on it, and everybody jumped on him, and the capo came in, give me that, and then the guards came and broke it all up. Every night I cried, remembering my promise to my mom. Mom, I got this, I'll be back in 10 weeks, go home. And in the morning I tried to remember my grandfather's blessings. The way you make your bed each day, and this body that we're given, and this garment richly woven. But I didn't have my tzitzit, the fringes. What did I do? I took my knife and I cut the edges of my shirt so small that nobody could see. This helped me to remember. Back to work! Time to time they let us write letters to home. We had some hope. Conditions here are bearable. The work is not so terrible. The shoes I've got are wearable. I'll keep them full and moving. The packages you send go to the kitchen in the end. And for one meal on the weekend, we still pretend we are human. But mother, don't you cry. I've only gone nearby. I'll be back soon and I will see your smiling faces. I'm sure they'll let me free. In 2 weeks, maybe 3, and this will only be on a temporary basis. And so I keep on holding on for your love. Low eyes on the skies above the mother. Yes, I say to you, I promise I will soldier on, standing strong. No one there to lean my shoulder on. Mother, I keep holding. Spring turned to summer, turned to autumn, turned to winter. Marin had misled us about the 10 weeks. Boom, 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 everybody up, get this place clean, everything has to be perfect. It's him, he's coming. Every inch, every wall, they worked us all morning until everything was perfect. Every ceiling, every floor, every uniform, every toilet, it's him, he's coming. When they were satisfied that everything would pass inspection, they lined us up on the plaza for roll call. We stood there for hours in the freezing cold. People began to faint. And suddenly all the big bosses, the ones who usually had their fun with us, they got stiff and silent. It's him. He's here. Nobody dared to look. but I saw, out of the corner of my eye, a black, shiny car. A man stepped out, black, shiny boots, black uniform, black cap with a skull, round black glasses. This was Himmler, the head of the SS, the architect of the entire camp system, second in command only to Adolf Hitler. He stepped down the line. All my life I've been rejected, disregarded, not respected. To protect me from hard challenges, my father missed. My teachers dismissed me, army men would not enlist me. The church deemed me unworthy, and girls were not impressed. So I studied agriculture, and we weed out what does not belong, and we only keep the strong in my SS. Oh, the night, what a night when we staged the coup. What a wonderful night we nearly overthrew. Nobody knew back then what we'd be able to do. To build a perfect, precisely scientific machine, the likes of which the world has never seen, to engineer the superior human being. And when they see our flag and it's flying so high, upon majestic cities that defy the sky, whose name will they glorify? They'll say it's him, it's Himmler, it's me. Now I decide. You, step forward. I've never been so frightened in all of my life. He was looking for some good workers, and that's what I was. He took 100 of us, and he shipped us out of Anhalt. Leaving Anhalt after almost a year, it felt like I was leaving my chance to go home. They shipped us to another work camp, Markstadt, February 1942. The capo showed us the job. Shoveling the dirt, filling the trolley, rolling the trolley, dumping the dirt, rolling back the trolley, shoveling the dirt, day after day, week after week. We were filling a steep ravine at the edge of the camp. They wanted to fill the ground so they could build a new road to expand the camp, to bring in more and more prisoners. Shoveling the dirt, day after day, in the winter cold. Suddenly, silhouetted against the winter sky, I saw at the edge of the ravine a group of soldiers in brown trench coats lined up on the edge of the ravine. What are those soldiers doing there? Those are Russian trench coats. They must be prisoners of war. Why are they lined up like that on the edge? One by one, with the butt of a rifle in the back, they were pushed down into the steep ravine. Keep dumping the dirt. They were trying to scramble out, but they couldn't. It was too steep. We had to dump the dirt on top of them. You could see their breath in the winter sky as they tried to scramble. And little by little, everything was covered up. Everything went silent. Grandpa, was that my brother Abo that I just buried alive in the Russian trench coat? I knew then they had no intention of letting me go home. But I had to keep my promise to my mother. Mom, I got this. I'll be back in 10 weeks. I promise. Go home. So one day when they lined us up for roll call, they said, "Who here is a carpenter?" I I stepped forward. I didn't really know what I was doing, but maybe I could fake it. You remember, I told you, my oldest brother, Montek, he was a woodworker, a cabinet maker. I used to go to his shop almost every day after school. I used to pay attention. Maybe I could fake my way through it. But if they found out I didn't know what I was doing, that could be the end of me. The capo showed us the job. Pounding in huge corner posts, building new barracks to bring in more and more prisoners. I was a good worker. They soon put me in charge of a little crew. They moved us to a better section of the camp, slightly better conditions. There was an elder gentleman there in the barrack. He didn't go to work like the rest of us. His job was to stay every day in the barrack, keep the toilets clean, heat up the hot water for us special workers at the end of the day to wash ourselves with. This elder gentleman, I saw him every morning struggling with the big urn of so-called coffee. It was just brown water, a hot silver urn full of it. As he struggled, "Here, let me help you," I said. I helped him with the urn. This might give me access to the kitchen, or maybe I could trade something, make a deal for an extra piece of bread for myself. In that new section of the camp where we were building the barracks, they had all the confiscated belongings of all the new prisoners. I was able to get from time to time a pair of shoes, a shirt, a belt. And I traded a pair of shoes in the kitchen for an extra piece of bread. But you couldn't just walk around with a piece of bread. What did I do? That coffee urn, it had a space underneath. I drilled 2 holes on either side and I fastened a wire across. And if I got a piece of bread, I slipped it in there to hide it. And I brought it back to the barrack and I shared it with the old man. "Young man, thank you. My name is Salo. Look at me now, cleaning toilets. Would you believe I once was a wealthy, respected man? I owned a huge corner building shaped like an L. We had a lively tavern on the ground floor and 100 apartments above, and I took care of every one of those apartments. When they came for my family, I traded that building for this privileged position here, cleaning toilets. I was able from time to time to get a piece of bread like that. One day, I was walking with the bread hidden underneath. You steal bread? Capo, you give him the punishment, 25 lashes on his bare back. 25 lashes? Getting injured in the camp. That meant the end. People who were sent to the infirmary, they never came back. This capo took me in front of everyone, all by myself. "Take your shirt off." I took my shirt off. This capo raised up his whip to give me 25 lashes on my bare back for stealing the bread. This other capo stopped him. These 2 capos could kill each other. "You don't touch Szyjek Magier. If you do, you'll be sorry. And you, I knew your father from Benjamin. Don't you ever get caught again. Put your shirt on." "Grandpa, you all right? The tzitzit, it helped me. Aha, you see, my boy, I told you. This will protect you for life." Not long after that, I came back from work one day and I learned that the old man, Salo, had died. 2 years in Markstadt. March 1944. The Russian army is advancing from the east. Himmler gives the order, move all prisoners away from the battlefront, destroy camp documents. They pushed us out of Markstadt. We walked all day through the winter cold, and we arrived that night at Funfteichen. Not a work camp, a concentration camp. In the camp, December 1924. From now on, your name is 25044. Say it! 25044. They dressed us each in a striped uniform. You couldn't tell one person from the next. They shaved a stripe down the middle of our hair in case anyone managed to escape. On my uniform was the number 25044 and a yellow triangle underneath. The triangles were the classification system of the prisoners in the camps. Those who had been in the system the longest were at the top of the pecking order. They lined us up every morning at roll call, counted us, and put us to work. The first ones here see the red triangles, leftists, communists, anyone who dared to raise their voice up to resist. The first move of any authoritarian is to lock up any political opposition. Next up they brought the green triangles, anyone with any record, mostly petty criminals. The so-called work shy, we're all here to supply free labor in the camp, where every day you fight to survive, and every night you lay awake and cry. And at the bottom of the pecking order was me, the yellow triangle, the Jew. Szyjek, it's me, Itzik Londoner from Benjamin. Itzik Londoner from Benjamin. I don't know how he recognized me. I could barely recognize him. But it really was my old friend Itzik from the neighborhood. Itzik, what news from Benjamin? Szyjek, it's terrible. Marin gave the order. All Jews from Benjamin had to live in a ghetto on the outside of town. 23 people living in a barn. My parents, your brothers. Last August 1st, 1943. Everybody out! Early in the morning, they pushed us. We couldn't look back onto a train, and we arrived at Auschwitz. We stood on the ramp. Dr. Mengele, the chief physician of the SS, waved his white glove one way or the other. Other prisoners approached young mothers to abandon the babies in their arms because anyone too young, too old, unable, or unwilling to work was waved away with his glove and never seen again. I saw my parents and your parents go. My parents, no, I don't believe you. Szyjek, I'm telling you it's true. No, my parents, oh. Let's give Szyjek a little break here. This is Russell speaking. My great-grandparents, Szyjek Magier and Zelda Zossin, were crowded into a room, the door locked behind them. From square holes built into the ceiling was dropped pellets of Zyklon B, poison, cyanide gas. As the gas rose from the air, people tried to climb onto one another to get to more air. To have a dream and see it through, I do it all for you. Okay, Russ, I can take it from here. I could tell what Itzik was telling me was true, but I refused to believe it. No! My parents, Mom, I'll be back in 10 weeks, I got this! 1 year at Funfteichen. January 1945. Boom! You could hear the Russian artillery was right around the corner. Cheers went up in the barrack. We'll be saved. They were right there. We were so excited. Himmler gave the order. Don't let one person fall into enemy hands. Their testimony will destroy us. But we were so excited. You could hear the guns. They were right there. I started imagining walking through the archway into the courtyard behind our building. Everybody out! They pushed us out of the barrack. They lined us up to be counted. The sun wasn't even up yet. Some of the boys were so sure the artillery was right there, right around the corner. They were sure that if they just hid for a few minutes, they would be rescued. But no, they took the German shepherds and they sniffed every single one of them out. They dragged them in front of us on their knees. This is what will happen to you if you dare try to escape. And they made us witness their execution by machine gun fire. I nearly fainted. Now March, we walked January 1945. Ice cold snow coming in and out of the holes of my broken shoes. Itzik and me huddled together under one blanket. We walked all day, lay down on the ground to sleep. What sleep? We couldn't sleep. It was miserable. In the morning, the sun came up. Keep moving. Some people never got up off the frozen ground. We walked for days until we arrived February 1945. Gross Rosen. Chimneys roaring day and night. Piles of bodies everywhere you looked. So crowded they put us in a basement pit where the prisoners had dug out the floor to make more space. This capo in this basement pit, he got one piece of bread for every person under his command. What did he do? I can't even believe I can tell you this. After he got the bread, he took the handle from his pickaxe. He chose the weakest looking from among us, and with a single blow to the head, this person was gone. Why? All to get one more piece of bread for himself for the day. This capo made Itzik and me drag the corpses to the top of the pile, not the bottom of the pile, the top of the pile. It was one half-alive corpse dragging another. We just did what we were told. We knew we were next. The British and the American planes were constantly flying over. Himmler gave the order, don't let one person live to tell the story of what they've seen here. He pushed us out March 1945, through fields and farms, walking, British and American planes constantly flying over, shooting down. So they walked us under cover of night. And in the day, they made us sleep in barns on the countryside. We walked like this for weeks until we arrived April 1945 at Flossenburg. An old camp wedged between two mountains. This camp was built for 1,500 people. Now there were 15,000. Bulldozers pushing corpses down into the crevices between the mountains. Workers working all day inside caves in the mountains, building secret bomber planes, the Nazis desperately trying to hold on to the war. There was no room for us, so they slept us underneath the bunk, crammed together like you see sardines in a can, and we stayed there for a week with nothing to do until Himmler gave the order. All 15,000 prisoners from Flossenburg in 3 separate commandos on trains to Dachau for extermination. We're rattling down the track. British and the American planes are shooting down, trying to stop the locomotives. Itzik next to me. Ah! He starts screaming. A tiny bullet hole in the top of his foot, but the bottom of the foot was blown to pieces. A stray bullet had come through the ceiling of the car. There was nothing anyone could do for him. He wouldn't stop screaming until the train stopped. Everybody out, anyone who couldn't walk, they dragged out, they put up against the wall, Itzik with his foot up against the wall. They made us move the rations, the supplies of bread from the train onto a truck. We had to go on foot. The planes had bombed out the bridge. The train couldn't continue. We had to walk on foot to Dachau with trucks to bring our supplies. They made us move the rations from the train onto the trucks. Of course, what would you do? Some of the boys, they tried to steal a piece of bread. I myself stuck a piece of bread down my pants, and I hid it in my cuff like that. You steal bread up against the wall. I was in a line to be checked. Anyone who's stolen bread, they put up against the wall. Grandpa, what do I do? This is my last mistake. Next. There was no way out. Tell Mom I love her. Next. I don't have my tzitzit to protect me. Up against the wall. Szyjek, the tzitzit, it's bubamaisis. Bubamaisis, what? Next. Bubamaisis is just stories. Stories. Next. Stories for me to tell to you. What's important is that you remember. What? That doesn't help me. There was no way out. I was next in line. I don't know. A bird lifted lifted off the ground. The guard looked away for a split second. I slipped past, and they didn't check me. Next! They kept pulling people who had stolen bread up against the wall. And each one of those, up against the wall, was finished off with a single bullet to the head. And that's how my friend Itzig Londoner died. This piece of bread in my coffee gave me a little strength to go on. Walking, April 1945, in the middle of the night, the rain coming down, water coming through the holes in my broken shoes. We passed a small bridge in the middle of the night, and suddenly I felt the smell of baking bread. It was so tempting. There was a bakery by the side of the road. Some of the boys, they couldn't resist. They ran towards it. Of course, they were shot trying to escape, but not me. I had to keep my promise to my mother. That morning, as the sun came up, they put us like they always did, in a barn to sleep. Except something different. At 10 a.m., everybody out! They lined us up in front of the barn to be counted. Why are they lining us up in the day? They never do that. I remember there was a farmhouse, a gate with a fence leading out to a road, some other barns over there. Suddenly a tank rolled by. And another one. The guards, they ran into the farmhouse. We couldn't think straight. We spilled out through the gate onto the road. And up rolled another tank. On it, a single white star. The United States of America. We were liberated right there and then. The joy was indescribable. But joy mixed with pains. Our brothers had just been killed hours earlier. We fell down on the ground. We didn't know whether to laugh or to cry. The hatch of the tank popped open and a soldier popped out. He said something I couldn't understand English. Some of the other boys, they pointed to the farmhouse. The Americans, they dragged the guards out. We're innocent. We didn't do anything. Innocent. They didn't do anything. We wanted to tear them apart. But the Americans wouldn't let us. They told us to walk back. They were still advancing. And we wandered like wild animals until we came to their campfire. They opened up their cans of meat. They fed them to us. We ate them so quickly, you know what happened. Our bodies couldn't handle it. Would you believe some of us died right there and then from the food after being liberated? I myself was so sick. I spent 2 weeks in a bed, skin and bones, 20 years old, 4 years in those camps. My voice was so weak. There's no way I could have told you this story like I'm telling you today through my grandson, Russell. They put us in a displaced persons camp in the city of Vitamin. Turns out I had an American cousin, a captain in the U.S. Army. His name was Greenwald. He found me and some of our cousins. He put us to work, crossing borders with counterfeit papers, hunting down Nazis. We knew the territory, we spoke the language, and we knew who was a Nazi and who wasn't. Greenwald let me borrow one day a convertible sports car. Yeah, imagine that. I had a few hours off. I had to keep my promise to my mother. I drove the car to Benjamin. I parked it at the castle. I walked through the archway into the courtyard behind our building. I still see your face in the rain as they drove me to the edge of insane. I fought through all of my pain. Stand here like I told you. I know you came to say your goodbyes with teardrops falling from your eyes. And every day the sun did rise, I reached out my hand to hold upstairs. You came back for your things, there's nothing left, we took it all. Oh no, you didn't, we buried it, and you'll never find it. Back in Viden, an older woman named Sabka invited me for Friday night supper. My husband is away, and I need someone to help clean the fish. Won't you join us? I gave my help, I joined, and sitting across from me at the table was a beautiful young woman. My name is Elsa. I was born in Katowice. They murdered my 2 older brothers in cold blood. My other brother Fritz, they sent to a camp. And when they came for me, my father traded our building so they would take him instead. It was a beautiful corner building, shaped like an L, with a lively tavern on the ground floor. A tavern with 100 apartments above? Why, yes, how did you know? I knew your father in the camp. He helped me. What happened to him? He died there in Markstadt. They said it was natural causes, but I know he died from a broken heart. Elsa and I, we talked. We dated. We danced. We fell in love. And one day her brother Fritz took me aside. You're getting married. She's having a baby. Baby. Life begins again. Life begins again. How can I bring a child into this world, knowing what I know now about life? People will destroy you if they choose, and there's nothing anyone can do. How can I provide for what you need? I have no money, no education, and no home. No family to ask for their advice. What can I teach you about life? Can I tell you things about the past? No, I'll have to lie to you each day and pretend I don't know what I know. My sorry story no one wants to hear. I'm worthless, yes, they want me dead to never live. And you as well, we are unwanted on this earth. They're working right now for our doom, and they will get it in the end. I should have died there on the road to save me from this misery. He said it was there to remind us, because we would forget that the world was created not by us, and it was left a little unfinished at the edges. And it was our job to try to make the world complete by doing good things, things we didn't always want to do, but we should. The way you make your bed each day, and this body that we're given, and this garment richly woven. How can I bring a child into this world? How can I not? Thank you for listening. Well, thank you for listening. I know that's a lot to take in a short period of time, but I As I said, I've been presenting this in schools here in Maine. I usually like to take a little time. I actually meant to mention this at the beginning, so I apologize. For any questions or comments, if anyone wants to, I'm sure there's a lot on your minds. It might not be easy to discuss at the moment, but if anyone has any questions for me, be happy to have a Q&A. I'm going to just take the floor myself here. How did my family come to the U.S.? Well, my grandfather and Elsa, my grandmother, and the baby is my mother. In 48, she was born in 47, my mom, and in 48 they went to Israel. David Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister of Israel, I guess, came to Weiden, this city where they were living, where this displaced persons camp was. I don't think it was a camp like with tents, but it was an abandoned German city that they housed many of these refugees in for a while. That's where my grandparents met. In 48, they had an opportunity to go to Israel. So they did, there's all the story. I don't know all the stories, but my mother spent her not her first year, but from age 2 to 6 in Israel. It was hard. I think the story was that it was too hot for my grandmother, and my grandfather he treated her like a queen, so whatever she wanted, he made happen. So there was an opportunity that she had a cousin who had come to Montreal. So they were able to come to Montreal, which is where I grew up. I spent my first 10 years in Montreal, and then my family, when I was 10, moved to the U.S. But I happen to be the American in my family. I happen to be born in St. Louis during my father's education for a year. So that's how I ended up here in the U.S., but we were Canadian, we're Montrealers, yeah. Yes?
How did you learn this story? Directly from your grandfather or passed down through your parents?
A lot of it, yeah, from my grandfather. I was always interested, being a creative person. I'm sure some of you can relate to that. I always was interested he was a treasure to me. He was my hero. So anytime I could be near him, I was. My grandmother passed away, Elsa, in 2001. I was about 26, 27. So he was alone a lot after that time. I was becoming a young, independent adult at that time. So anytime he would come to visit, as I said, from Montreal to wherever we were for vacations or holidays, things like that, I was always right at his side. And in 2009, I went with him to Poland on the March of the Living, which some of you might be familiar with. It's an international march for high school seniors that converge in Poland at Auschwitz on Holocaust Remembrance Day. It's a commemorative march, and there's a whole series of itinerary that students do, the sites of the Holocaust. So I went with him on that march. I was kind of his chaperone. Not that he needed it, but he was 85 years old and very fit. And at that moment, at some point during that trip, I told myself, Russ, you have to tell this story. And calling myself a singer-songwriter, I said, you better step up to the plate and do justice to his life, using your skills such as they are as a songwriter. So that began my journey. I interviewed him that summer in 2009, which formed a lot of what you heard tonight, a lot of the tidbits, even quotes from him. Like, he started out by telling me I asked him about his grandfather. He said he was very religious and he used to make us wear the tzitzit, and he said, this will protect you for life. So little quotes like that actually came from those interviews were woven in. And then as I was kind of I did some research and just general books for some context, things like that. I'm not an expert, there's so much to learn on it, but on the whole subject of World War II and the Holocaust. But then towards the end, as I was getting this almost ready to present, I realized I had a lot of gaps in kind of what was called the Death March, which is where they tried to push all the prisoners, these eyewitnesses to their crimes against humanity. They tried to push all these witnesses, my grandfather among them, hundreds of thousands of witnesses, prisoners, in towards Germany, to Dachau or other places to kill them all before they could, and my grandfather was intercepted by the American army, as I mentioned. So I realized that I had a lot of gaps in his story during that time I didn't really know. So he actually has several testimonial videos that he's done that I listened back to, and I took a lot of his words, like, it was one half alive corpse dragging another. We just did what we were told. We knew we were next. Those kind of things came from his testimonials. So I wove it all together, and then of course I used some poetic license to kind of some imagination stuff, not really imaginary, but the relationship with his grandfather. I tell a story about it, you didn't ask, but I'll share it with you, which is that he suffered from dementia in the later years of his life. He passed away in 2013, so in 2011, 2012, he was starting to have dementia, and he came to visit us from Montreal. Now, we moved to Albany, New York, which is, it's like 3.5 hours, not far. And we drove that road for decades, back and forth when we were young. When everyone was younger, we did it all the time. My family would go to Montreal, they would come here. So he was driving down this road in 2011, starting to have some dementia, little, lapses in his functions, his memory. And he's driving down the road, and, he would never let himself make a mistake because he was a survivor and a warrior. He couldn't make a mistake because that could be the end of it. He was very. And so he's driving down the road, and there was construction, and everything looked different, and he was having like a mental lapse, and he was like, where am I? I'm lost. How could I be lost? I've been on this road for decades. And he was panicked. And of course, the construction ended, and he came through, and he recognized it, and he made his way, and it was fine. There was no problem. But when he arrived in Albany, he told me the story, and he said when he was panicking, he called out to his grandfather in that moment, which told me that even at 85, 87, whatever years old, he still spoke to his grandfather in the sky or wherever it was for guidance when he was in trouble. So that told me he probably spoke to him. Now the story about where he slips past with the bread and he doesn't get checked, that's a true story. And he always told me he believed that his grandfather guided him through that. So I took that and I kind of spun it into that little piece there.
You mentioned his number.
Yeah, 25044, yeah.
Not tattooed on him?
No, not a tattoo, no. His brothers were in Auschwitz and they had tattoos. His older brothers both survived Auschwitz. Yeah.
Do you practice Judaism today?
I do a little bit. I like to remember Friday night to light the Shabbat candles. I'm not very observant, but it's part of my heritage, obviously, that I feel strongly about. It's not. I don't think of it as my religion, really. I think of it as my culture and where I come from. But I have my own kind of spirituality, right, as we all do, and whenever I can kind of weave that into Jewish beliefs. I read a lot of things. I read a lot of Jewish things, Jewish history. I'm very steeped in all of it. But I'm not too observant, but I try to, fast on Yom Kippur and, observe the holidays. Passover is coming soon, so we do things like that. But there's a lot that I don't know about Judaism, too, so I'm not like a master of it. But,
Can I ask you something?
Yes, please.
First, just to say how powerful that story was.
Thank you.
We were both in tears.
Thank you.
And how important right now in our history to hear a story like
Thank you.
that. And that part where the U.S. tank was
Mm.
going by,
Mhm.
like
What made
where we are in this world right now, that we were once the heroes.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm curious how middle school students take this, and is it so foreign to them that they can't,
Yeah, so far, probably similar to how most of you are taking it is my guess. They're very grateful. They're very, middle schoolers, 12-year-olds. It's like, teachers are like, oh my God, they never sit quietly
Right.
for an hour.
I'm a middle school teacher,
You're a middle
so I
school teacher,
understand.
right? So look, the story is very riveting because it's a human story of danger and drama, and people are fascinated, for better or for worse, by such types of stories, particularly the Holocaust, World War II, war. It's fascinating, right? So that's, I don't want to say it's like an advantage that I have, right? But hopefully, some of what I'm doing as well is riveting, not just the subject matter in and of itself. But they're very receptive. It seems like, and I don't get much time to really get a lot of feedback because we're in the middle of a school day and they have a few minutes like this and they're gone to lunch or whatever, right? With Portland Ovations, we do have a teacher's guide with some activities, lessons, vocabulary. There's a photo an addendum with like 40 photos of my photos and a few other sort of stock photos from the history, but mostly my photos of all the characters, so to speak, in the story, my grandparents, the brothers, the captain in the army. I have all these photographs and captions. And then there are these lessons, and we're still kind of waiting to hear back. This is just happening in the last month or two. We've only had 4 performances, so it would be great to hear like what some of the activities and the lessons. One of them is like interview an elder or someone in your community. One of them is create a classroom by upstander agreement. Some kind of there's like these 4 activities that are in this thing. So I'm still waiting kind of to hear back specifically, and I'm really excited, hopefully, to see some of that work and see how it. But I think young people are pretty moved by it. I hope.
Yeah, that's good.
And also, it's like something a little different in a regular school day, isn't it? So like, yeah, get to go to the auditorium. Right? So I've been a middle school. I've been a teacher, as was mentioned. So. Yeah, there was a question here.
Do we know what happened to Aldo?
Yeah, Abo. So that's a great question, right? Right, the intrigue of like, well, what happens, right? So Abo, the story. So Motek and Moniak, and I did forget to mention earlier on. I told you, but I didn't tell you because I got a little distracted with the sound. But Motek was a woodworker, a cabinet maker. I meant to mention that earlier. And then Moniak had a job as a locksmith. So Motek and Moniak survived Auschwitz. They were all sent to Auschwitz, as was kind of hinted at when they liquidated the ghetto in Benjamin. Everyone went to Auschwitz. Now, Szyjek had left earlier, so he had a different path. Abo had run away. And the story growing up with Abo was, so Motek and Moniak survived. There's all stories about how they escaped Auschwitz and so on and so forth. And they lived long lives, the 3 brothers, without Abo. They lived to old age, Motek, Moniak, and Szyjek, into their 80s. And Abo, the story was he ran away to the Russian army and he was never heard from again. So we kind of assumed he died or something, right, in the war. Now, I have another cousin on that side of the family who's a bit of a historian as well, like myself. She's done some different research. She found a document. You type in names, there's different things that are still surfacing, there's different archives. She found a document 5, 10 years ago, even 8 years, I don't know, not that long ago. And it was like a international, searching for somebody, right? You're looking for your family, you fill out a document at some humanitarian place, Red Cross or whoever, and they try to, keep records of people who are requesting people and see if they have any information. There seemed to suggest that somebody saw him after the war in Italy. He didn't say, it says, was seen in Italy and leaving a camp, Innsbruck, I don't know, something. He didn't say where he was going. That's like written in the notes of this document. So it seems to suggest that he did survive the war. Now, why they never reconnected with him, maybe he didn't want anything to do with it, maybe he started a new life and just was too traumatized to go back, who knows? Story with Motek, the oldest brother, was that he was rescued. He escaped, I think, from the death march leading out of Auschwitz, and he was somehow rescued or taken in by a German woman, a young German woman. Now, what their relationship was, whether they were lovers, I don't really know. But he was taken in by a German woman and living with them. And my grandfather, Szyjek, being the youngest, he was still kind of the leader of the family. He was trying to find everybody, and I don't know the whole story, but he ended up finding them like near Munich or somewhere in Germany. His oldest brother, living with this German woman. He said, no. You can't stay here. This is not your life. This is not your future. And he said, thank you to the family. Thank you very much for saving my brother. And he was working for the U.S. Army, so he had some money. And he actually bribed Motek with a gold tooth. He was missing a tooth, so he's like, I'll get you a gold tooth. You're coming with me, And he sort of bribed him to leave this German woman that he was with. And he convinced them to go to Israel after Ben Gurion came and gave a speech. So he was like the leader, sort of, but at least that's the way I envision him, tall tales, but yeah.
Keep telling me a story.
Thank you.
It's so
Russell, thank you.
Thank you all so much. So if you want to keep in touch with me, I have some cards over there. I'm going to come down and we can say hi, but feel free to obviously make your exit. If you would like to support me, a little donation if you so choose. There's QR codes. You can subscribe to my mailing list over there by the exit over there. And thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.